Good evening, good evening, good evening. Marietta back with another video. Before I retire for the night, I would like to share a nightcap with y'all. And I would like to let y'all know that there are some things that crossed my mind that I had not mentioned earlier today about how you can get some nice affordable things for yourself at this time. I just want to throw it out there that vintage is the new luxury. Vintage is the new luxury. Vintage items are making a comeback right now because of the fact not only were they beautiful and sustainable, they're very desirable at this time. You got some vintage pieces out there that the world would love to see. And right now, due to the fact of the downsizing, that a lot of our elderly have held on to a lot of these beautiful pieces over the years, they have become timeless. I mean, I remember I used to go to the auctions all the time, spent most of my time buying a lot of my better things from the auction and reselling a lot of things from the auctions, going to estate sales, flea markets, yard sales, just buying things that I just fell in love with the vintage stuff because the vintage stuff just holds up a lot more, a lot better. So I just want to throw that out there that if you're looking for furniture and things of that nature at this time, search your area for places that are selling vintage items. Those items have already passed the test of time. They have already been tried and they're still holding up to this day. A lot of your older pieces, even far as the jewelry, like Safari jewelry and all these Sarah Coventry and jewelry and things of this nature, these sets are very desirable even today. Look them up. I mean, you'll be able to find some of these pieces at your local flea markets, at your local sales, if you know what to look for. And jewelry that's made of like glass or jewelry that's made of stone. These pieces of jewelry are always going to hold up no matter how old or how vintage they are. People are desiring these old watches and things of that nature. And with the elderly downsizing, a lot of people have a lot of this stuff for sale. I happened to be talking to a lady one day when I went to the store, and she was telling me about how she was downsizing her estate. And as they downsize these estates, they'll be putting a lot of these things up for sale. And I just don't want y'all to sleep on the vintage era of time of the vintage pieces, right down to vintage clothing, vintage shoes. I mean, these vintage cars have been hiding in the garage for years. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to be sold in the next season, the next 3 to 4 or 5 months. Mark my words, you're going to hear a lot of things that are going to be coming up for sale, maybe even in your area as well. Check your local estate sales and you may find some of your better pieces out there, even right down to farm equipment as you begin to farm and begin to work your land. Vintage is going to be the new luxury because these pieces have already been tried. These pieces are already been used. They've been through the test of time. People have already started buying them up already. They're all over the place right now. So you just have to search and see exactly where these estate sales and auctions are in your area and start going to some of these auctions. I'm sure you're going to find something that you're going to like at these auctions that you're going to be able to get at a good price that's going to hold up as you continue to start putting your home together for this inflation that we're going through. And I mean, one key reason for the surge in vintage interest is the growing the growing eco consciousness among the luxury buyers. The luxury buyers are very interested in these pieces. Even the girls that buy these bags, they are still looking for them old Coach bags. They're still searching these old Coach bags up because the Coach bags were genuine leather and they're still selling high dollar rate to this day. They are increasingly attractive. They're sustainable and they're reusable and high quality. The quality was a lot different then. Items, especially when those pose a lot of character. I mean, they were just really built different. They were built different. They were sewn different. They were a lot stronger. They stood up by themselves. And if anybody remember the old Coach bags, the ones that were made of real cowhide, the real leather, they were good and strong. Not like these bags that come out today. These bags had quality. I mean, and you look at the fact that even of the jewelry, if you find some Sarah Coventry jewelry today, and you find some Safari jewelry today, and all this jewelry is still holding up today, and it's still just as beautiful today as it was the day it was made, that's some good jewelry. When you look at crystals, crystals are out there. People are searching crystals high and low. Crystals will always hold their value. They're just as beautiful as they can be. When you talking about looking for different glasses like the blown glass and the marigold glass and your amethyst and your all these different glasses and your cobalt glass, all these different glasses I used to see at the auction all the time, people are now returning to hunting these pieces up, high and low. Why? Because they're not only valuable, they're beautiful to look at, they're sustainable, and you find pieces with no chips in them. They just have been lasting all these years. A lot of the brass that they have melted down, you notice a lot of that is going away. But if you can find some pieces of that brass will be just as pretty today when you clean it as it was from the day it was made. I mean, you just got to know exactly what to buy, what to find, what to look for, and what you're interested in. But a lot of this vintage stuff, I'm here to tell you, vintage is the new luxury. Vintage is the new luxury. Finding the beautiful vintage cars that are in these garages that people are now getting ready to pull out and start putting them up for sale. Start watching your local newspapers. I'm trying to tell y'all, I used to sit and watch the newspaper all the time, and nothing beat a good auction. I love going to a good auction. Back home when I used to go to auction, I was at the auction every morning at 5:30 because the auctioneers started rattling off every morning at 6 o'clock. So I was there prompt every single morning because I enjoyed going to the auction, and that's why I speak fast the way I do, because I've sat under the auctioneers for a long time, When you hear a good auctioneer rattle off them numbers, there's something about hearing that excitement, being there on site. On site is very exciting when you're there and you got your number and you're holding your number up and you're bidding on things. It's just a lot of fun. That is something to get into. This is why I have so much joy, because even at my old age, I still find things that I'm interested in. And auction is one thing that I'm very interested in. Yard sales I'm very interested in. Estate sales I'm very interested in. And just going on a good treasure hunt is some of the most fun things you could possibly do. And you find a lot of good treasures while you're out there. A lot of the old military stuff, World War II stuff, a lot of the old swords, a lot of the old hunting ducks. Remember Duck Dynasty? Y'all remember? And they were searching them old wooden ducks that were signed at the bottom, up and down, high and low. Those ducks are still valuable to this day if you find some of the right ones and you put them out there. I'm telling y'all, vintage is the new luxury, and it's affordable. It'll give you some exercise. It's a lot of fun. You're on a treasure hunt, a worldwide treasure hunt, because you can take this treasure hunt on the road and you can look for treasures anywhere and everywhere. You just got to have that eye to know how to spot certain treasures. I have been at yard sales and bought sterling silver candle holders signed at the bottom for a nickel. Why? Because people don't know or have no idea the things that they're throwing away are valuable. You go to different yard sales, people put stuff out there that their grandmama had, mama had. They could care less. They're just throwing it away. And they're throwing it away not knowing how valuable these things are today. I mean, it's a sterling silver, whether it's a candle holder, whether it's a bowl, whether it's a tea kettle, whether it's a teapot, whether it's a whole sterling silver set. Over my time, I have found whole sterling silver flatware thrown in a $2 box at the auction. They not knowing it was real sterling silver. You got to know exactly what you're looking for, right down to finding good clothing, good vintage clothing. Like Levi jeans. There's some Levi jeans out there, y'all, that are very expensive. Very expensive. You just got to know what to look for and have that eye and give yourself a chance to find some of the good things. But just think about that. Going to some of your local auctions, especially if you're over 60, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Get on out there and have some fun and find yourself some treasures. I just thought I would throw that out there because it came across my mind that vintage is the new luxury. And there are so many vintage items out there that are still being used to this day, that now, because of what we're getting ready to go into and how we're transitioning back to some of our old ways and some of the old things that we have learned years ago, some of them same vintage things are going to come into play today to be able to be used to help you get through these trying times. But you don't have to go buy them brand new. You can buy them vintage. You can go buy vintage foot tubs, even if you need a foot tub. They got butter churns out there if you know how to make butter. There are some things that you may need to do. Ice cream makers, the old ones, you need to go see what they look like. I mean, you might not want to use these old things, but these old things will actually give you an idea of how they made ice cream, how they made butter, how they washed clothes, how they went through all these things back in the day. And you'll be able to, without using electric. Some of these things may be modernized, but they also can be used even to this day. The vintage way of doing things has never gotten old. It's never gotten old. Well, at least for me, it's never gotten old. Let's just put it that way. Because, like I said, when you have been through all the things that I've been through, and you've gotten to see a lot of the old things go out, the new things come in. Now it looks like the old things are coming back, the new things are going out. It's just you never forget where you come from, no matter what you go through or how you go through it. But I do know one thing right now: the vintage is the new luxury. Vintage items are making a comeback, and they're making a comeback because they're so desirable. They're sustainable. They have been tried. They've been going through the test of time. They hold up under pressure, and not only that, they're beautiful to look at. They're really beautiful to look at. They're just made different. They're built different. They're not falling apart like this new modern stuff that we have now. I mean, it would just give you a good lesson, a good history lesson, even if you just go to the auction just to look at some of these vintage pieces, even right down to the money that y'all worried about them fighting over. The dollar, paper dollar that we have now is not even the money that they used back then. Back then, they only used silver and gold. They didn't have this type of money. They had paper money, yes, but the paper money was silver certificates, you know what I'm saying, gold certificates. We fighting over just a regular old piece of dollar paper, you know what I'm saying? So it's like saying you got to learn a lot of these things, but you learn a lot of these things when you go to auction and you see these things be auctioning off. And I learned a lot of things by just watching them auction off certain things, and even seeing the old tractors that the farmers used to use back then. Even their equipment was made a lot stronger. It was made of real steel. It was like all that farm equipment was made solid. It's not falling apart like the farm equipment they got today, breaking down every chance it get. Well, you know, I just got to thinking about that, and I got to thinking of how many people understand that vintage is the new luxury. Vintage is the new luxury. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you go look for if you can get it in a vintage. Even vintage cowboy hats. Remember the old Stetson hats back in the day? They still make Stetson today. But the vintage cowboy hats are the ones that are really beautiful. Them are some beautiful, strong hats. Well made, well put together. So it's just that I haven't forgotten my roots, and I haven't forgotten where I come from. So y'all check it out when you get time. Just look at some of the vintage things that are in the world that are still here. Even if you're looking for cars, look at some of the old vintage cars and look how they were made opposed to how the cars are being made today. These cars today, you hit them, they shatter all over the place. Them cars back in the day, them cars were well built, they were strong, they were sturdy. I mean, I guess I just, think about how much money we pay for all this cheap, watered down foolishness that we be buying, and forgetting about how strong things were back in the 60s, you know what I'm saying? Back in the 50s, back in the 60s, even in the 70s. Things was back good and built, good and strong, much better back then. It was the good old days back then. And I guess I was just taking a road down memory lane. I thought I'd take y'all with me. So if y'all know what I'm talking about, write it down in the comments. If you know you had some of them old cars, you got some of them old cars that you like to talk about, let's talk about them. If you used to that old jewelry and you've been to them auctions and them flea markets and you like to treasure hunt like I do, type it in the comments. Let me know what you found out there. What is your highest treasure? What is the best thing you found? Oh, and I did one year ago, I found a Martin guitar. It wasn't in really good condition, but I was able to sell it for like $3,000 way back in the day. I found a lot of good stuff when I was out there doing yard sales, and I do miss it. I haven't had a chance to go in a while. I told y'all, due to life, with my son and all, and him being disabled, I haven't had a chance to go look for yard sales or treasure hunt or whatever, but I love a good treasure hunt. Tell me what you found while you've been out there treasure hunt. Do you like the treasure hunt? Would you be willing to go treasure hunt? Is that something you've done? Have you ever done it? Have you ever bought things and flipped them at a sale? Let me know. Type it down in the comments. But with that being said, y'all have a blessed night, and I'm getting ready to sound off right now. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. And turn your notification bells on so you'll be notified when I drop my next video. Y'all be blessed.